from the point of view of knowledge, that once we are able to realize that what we are throughout the day, throughout life, we are using the word I, thinking that I is body, mind, personality, limited something within me, and the whole world is different from it, and everybody's Atma is different. So that correction to that has to be brought through knowledge normally. How is the knowledge? No. We have to shift our identity, as I have given that mirror example quite a few times. You know, all of you will be knowing that the light is coming from the top, say sun, parallel rays are coming down. We put a number of mirrors in that light. So each mirror will reflect the beam and have its own secondary or the reflected beam. With that beam, it can, if the mirror is moved with that beam, the mirror can reveal, throw light on anywhere. Now, like that mirror, there can be millions of mirrors in that same light. Each mirror will have its own reflected beam with which it can reveal anything in front. Now, I always say that if the mirror thinks that the light is coming from within me, is the mirror right? We can easily say, no, it's not right. The mirror is not the source of the light. Source of light is somewhere else. But the mirror, for all working purposes, it is using the reflected beam as to perceive the world or to reveal anything in front. Exactly similarly, generally what we usually call consciousness or awareness, which is body dependent, when the body dies, that consciousness is not there. That is the secondary light, that is not the primary light. Suppose the mirror becomes dirty or the mirror breaks, then the reflected beam from the mirror will not be there. But has anything happened to the original light coming? It remains as such. So, when will we know that original light is what my real identity is? So when we know that, we understand that the light source for all the mirrors placed there is the same source. And any mirror dying, it has nothing to do with that source. So when we shift our identity from the reflected light to the original light, we become immortal. The body may fall, but nothing happens to me. That is what all the Upanishads are constantly harping on us, that na jayate na mriyate va kadachit. That remains there, the consciousness remains. The consciousness which is manifesting in association of the body, that is like the reflected light. When the body becomes non-functional, that reflected light will not be there, just like breaking of the mirror. So, if we can understand that, and for that what do? We have to discover the source of that light. So, as the mirror is used to see everything with that reflected light, it thinks that I will see my original light also with that reflected light. This is the ignorance we have. The original light, do you have to see with the reflected light the original light coming from the sun or whatever? But we try to rotate the mirror, that is, we try to focus that secondary light or the reflected light, secondary beam or the reflected beam towards the original light. Then only to see the original light we have to, because we are used to see everything with the reflected light, so we will try to move that reflected light towards the original light. Exactly so, in discovering our real Atma, what we try to do is the awareness, the consciousness which is always focused on something other than me, always focused on some object, the world, either external or internal thoughts, concepts, imaginations, intelligence. It is focused on something different from the aham, different from the I. To understand what is that I, we will try to move that focus to the I itself. It is exactly like moving the mirror towards the original light. And when we are able to completely withdraw from seeing the world with the reflected light, we understand what happens then. When the mirror is turned, the reflected light has got merged with the original light. It is no more visible as a secondary beam. And it is no more showing the world also. It is only the light and the original light. This is called the jnana samadhi. That is, once we discovered that this is our real identity, then it is done. What are they saying? Sampashyan Brahma Paramam. That is the Supreme Brahman. That is the Supreme Consciousness. When we are able to realize that by our knowledge, by constantly practicing the knowledge that whatever we are seeing, it is not in the objectude, but it is something, the subject itself. So, Sampashyan Brahma Paramam Yati Na Anyena Hetuna. It cannot be known by any other means. It is like this. So, this is the standard knowledge pursuit which we have to do with the Shuddha Buddhi. The Buddhi has to be, the intelligence has to be purified. Because our intelligence from birth, it is not from birth, it is generation after generation we are used to deal with the objects only. Not only in my life from childhood, but our forefathers also have been utilizing. So it has gone deep into the gene. We are so used to always see something different from me that it is not, we fail to see ourselves. That means when we stop seeing anything other than me, then only the Atma reveals its own identity. So normally for a purified intelligence which is able to do this abstraction, this should be the I will say the simplest method of knowing the Atma or the self-realization.